In the last movie, we looked at how we could add text to a path. In this movie, we want to take a look at how we can add type to a closed path. If we take a look at this finished example, I'm working with the document called textonapath.ai, which is available inside the Chapter 6 folder. We can see that we have some text in a circular fashion, and this was achieved by placing some type on a closed path. Of course, the closed path was a circle. Let's go ahead and take a look at how we can achieve this. So I'm going to go ahead and move this over here to the left. I'm then going to come over and choose the ellipse tool. I'm going to press the D key on the keyboard to set up the default colors, but then with the fill as the active box here, you want to come over and choose none. Then simply click and drag out a circle to really whatever size that you want. Then you'll notice over here inside the Tools panel, we can choose Type on a Path, but for our purposes, we can just leave the Type tool selected. And as soon as you hover over this, you'll notice that you get not the Type on a Path cursor, but instead you get essentially the area type cursor. Remember, what Illustrator wants to do is convert this shape into area text. In order for us to activate the Type on a Path tool, we can use the keyboard shortcut, which is Option on the Mac, Alt on Windows. As soon as you press that key, you'll notice your cursor is updated. So go ahead and click. You get a blinking cursor on the circle. I want you to go ahead and type in Landscape Design. Then you can go ahead and select the text. With the text selected, you can come over and choose the eyedropper tool and click on this landscape design text. You should see that little T there, and you'll notice that the new text looks like this old text. Perfect. Come over and choose the selection tool, and we have the ability now to control its position on the circle. The easiest way to do this, honestly, is to grab this center point and simply click and drag. Based upon what we learned in the last movie, you also know that you can change the beginning point and the ending point, but for our purposes, we don't really need to do that. So this looks good, right? It's positioned where we want it to be positioned. Now what we need to do is get Design, Plan, Build in the interior of this path. Well, here's the problem. You can't do that. You can't have some text on the outside of the path and some text on the inside of the path. The only option is to have two different paths. So with this path selected, go ahead and copy it and then paste it. So now we have a duplicate. What I'd like you to do is update this text from Landscape Design to Design, Plan, Build. With the Type tool, you can highlight the text and type that out. Design, Plan, Build. But of course, it's not in the right location. So come over and choose the Selection tool again. With that, we can change its location on the path. We want to find the center point, and the center point looks like it's right over here. If we click and drag down, you'll notice we're changing the direction of the text to be in the interior of the circle. Now, the same rules apply in terms of oversetting type when you're working with a closed path. But now what we want to do is position this circle so it looks like this text is essentially on one circle. Right now it doesn't. It doesn't because this text is squished closer together than the finished example, and the main reason for that is its baseline is right on the path. If we adjust that baseline, we can move it off the path, which will spread out the characters, giving us a more symmetrical look from the top and the bottom. So if we come over to the character panel, you want to make sure that this text is selected, so you can come over and choose the Type tool. Then you can click and drag to select this text. With it selected, you just need to adjust the baseline shift into negative values. And if you come over and choose a negative value like -6, it's a pretty good starting point. And we can just do it by eye. If we want to bring this out to something like -8, I think that looks pretty good. Again, you can click away from it, take a look at it. Maybe it needs some additional adjustment, but you get the idea. So working with type on a closed path is very similar to working with type on an open path. The key difference, however, is if you have a lot of text, that text has to stay within one direction on that path, either the exterior or the interior of the path. But as you can see, a good workaround is to use more than one shape to create the illusion that you're only working with one path.